Shomikasi. That's how you are.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
37 years. That's how long it's been since Martin Scorsese had a film at Cannes Film Festival. And when it premiered, it received a 9-minute standing ovation. Perhaps people just needed to stretch though, because the film was 3.5 hours long. This film, Killers of the Flower Moon, is based on a true story of the murders of the Osage Nation members by white settlers in the 1920s. This would later be known as the Reign of Terror.
They're like buzzards circling our people.
This might be one of the most highly anticipated Martin Scorsese films of all time. So let's talk about what makes it so special and why you might want to see it. But first, why Marty? Why does Scorsese matter? When you think of the greatest film directors of all time, the names that often come to mind are people like Hitchcock, Coppola, Bergman, Agnes Varda, maybe even Tarantino, and of course, you cannot forget about Robert Vince. He directed the 4th installment in the Air Bud series, 7th Inning Fetch. This film was an absolute masterpiece and puts films like Godfather 2 to shame.
You broke my heart.
It came from the original Air Bud.
And no matter where you search on the internet, when you do type in this list, Scorsese is always put near the top. He's directed some of the most highly acclaimed films and some of my favorite films of all time as well. Films like Goodfellas, Casino, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Mean Streets, The Departed, Gangs of New York. I'm not even partway through.
Now you tasted my mutton. How do you like it, huh?
Wolf of Wall Street. Even the film Hugo was amazing. And not to mention 2 of my favorite Scorsese films, Shutter Island and Silence. Fun fact, he's been nominated 12 times for an Academy and has actually only won 1.
Martin Scorsese.
So after such an illustrious career and being at the ripe age of 80 years old, why does Killers of the Flower Moon matter? Well, here's a few reasons why. Now, I'll get to the cast of this film, which is incredible. It's almost like Oppenheimer, which had so many amazing people. Which, by the way, I was very wrong about Oppenheimer and its amount of money it would make. You can go see that video. But why does Killers of the Flower Moon matter? Well, it's political and historical significance.
You said, I want to tell a story about betrayal of trust between the Osage people and the outside world.
Many people are considering this Scorsese's most political and social film since his 1997 film, Kundin. Killers of the Flower Moon is based on a book of the same title. And what's interesting is Scorsese actually rewrote the film's script after it was finished because he felt that it was too white male dominated. It didn't take into account a wider variety of perspectives and the various people who were involved in the story.
We're deeply committed to staying true to the reality of the world in which this story unfolds.
He wanted to make sure he had a balanced film and was telling the truth. To quote Scorsese, he said, "After a certain point, I realized I was making a film all about white guys," meaning I was taking an approach from the outside in, which concerned me. Now, personally, I haven't seen the film yet, but I can appreciate that Martin Scorsese, at this stage in his career, is still trying to evolve as a storyteller and a director. And the way that he treated the truth and this film can be seen in its reaction. When they premiered the film at Cannes, people like Jim Gray, who is a leader from the Osage Nation, and actually a descendant of one of the people who was murdered in the film, actually went on to praise the film and said that it was genuine and honest throughout the process. This is high praise. And also Lily Gladstone, who is in the film, who's a Native American and from the Blackfeet Nation, also had high compliments of the film and Martin Scorsese's treatment of the story. She said that he made sure the film was not a white savior story. And speaking of Lily Gladstone, the cast and crew on this film are incredible, and Martin Scorsese has pulled out all the stops and brought back some of his favorite longtime collaborators. Not since 1993 have we seen Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio share the big screen together. I think the last time was the film This Boy's Life. I say that like I'm remembering that. I just wrote that down. And this will be the first time that Scorsese is getting to direct the two of them at the same time in the same film. And seeing the performances that he's gotten out of them in the past, and that they've provided for Scorsese's script. This should be sensational. IndieWire did say that this might be the best performance of Leonardo DiCaprio's life.
I promise you, I swear on my children.
No.
I swear on my children, King.
And he's had some great performances.
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
The film also has Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow, and Brendan Fraser, my man. And he will be reprising his role as an obese male, I think. Lily Gladstone's performance has also been praised. And equally important is who's going to be behind the camera in this film. Martin Scorsese has of course brought back his editor,
Thelma Schoonmaker,
who's edited most of his films, if not all of them. As well, this film was shot by Mexican cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, who's shot many of Scorsese's films. And so far from what I've seen, the film is stunning. This film has been made by a strong group of collaborators who've been working together for decades. And lastly, why does this film matter? Well, this is kind of my opinion. It's not a sequel, and it's not a franchise. When you're looking at what's being released right now in the theaters at the same time as Killer Moon, I'll say this, and I know a lot of you are gonna be upset, but you're seeing a lot of unoriginal franchise films. Sequels, prequels, spin-offs. In theaters right now, there's Expendables 4, there's The Equalizer 3, The Nun 2. Killers of the Flower Moon is something else. It's something different. It's a story to reflect on the foundational values that have built Western societies for centuries. And it has many layers and nuances that must be seen on the big screen. This is again an important moment, just like movies like Oppenheimer, and I think they're gonna serialize Barbie probably, or do films like Uno, I heard.
To play Uno, you'll need at least 2 players.
Or at least right now we're seeing a bit of a renaissance of films that are grounded in truth, but that are also returning to the old model, which encourages people to go to the movie theater. I think it's great that we get out of our houses. For me as a filmmaker, I think it's fantastic that we watch on something different than our iPhone. You can see what just happened in Vegas in the past few weeks with the Sphere, I believe it's called, but this moment to experience life in an incredible, immersive environment. And these filmmakers and artists toil and slave over these films to get the stories perfected, not just in the most cinematic and pristine way with the editing and the high resolution, but to tell stories that matter. And I think it is important that we gather together around these events, that we share these moments.
Hey, look! They're putting their butt in!
So it's great seeing this film have a theatrical release before it gets sent to be streamed online. That said, I do know a lot of people these days have beautiful home theaters. I am thinking about building one myself. I'm actually in a little theater here in our edit suite. So I recognize that transitioning that into the home space is good. But what I am also saying is it's great to see artists have their art projected and produced on the most pristine screens possible. It's great to see Scorsese in the twilight of his career producing gargantuan films like this. And at 210 minutes, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, longer isn't necessarily better, but based on the ovations and knowing how well Scorsese tells a story, and just the incredible ability to hold people's attention for that length of time, especially in this day and age when we're watching reels that are 7 to 10 seconds long, I, for one, am excited to watch this film. And I am going to not drink any water that day because I pee so often. Maybe I do need to stream it at home so I can pause it.
You talk too much.
Anyways, appreciate you watching this. Hey, goodbyes. See you in the next one.